who are new, we meet every other month with an excellent movie. Our publicity and satellite chairman, Kathy Bausch. And Bob Linder, will you come and be next, please? Oh, hello.
Good. Is this on? Hello? Oh, good. My name's Kathy Bausch. I do the publicity for the Republican Club. I try and get an article and keep you updated in our Globe. Please forgive me if my spelling's wrong, or every once in a while I transpose a number on a telephone number. I try really hard, so I hope you're reading the articles. Just real quick, our satellite movie for next month in February is a movie I saw at the theater. It was a short time in the theater. It's a movie called Unplanned. And it is about, it's a true story. I like to do true stories. It's about Abby Johnson, who was a director of one of the most prolific, I guess that's the right word, Planned Parenthood organizations. And she participated, she figures, in her time with Planned Parenthood, 22,000 abortions. And she had something in her clinic that was a real wake-up call. And she became a right for life fighter. So it's an amazing story. It's really worth your seeing. We're showing it February 11th, Clubhouse 6 for $5 to cover our costs, and we provide the popcorn. And it's nice to see other people, other Republicans in the community. So I hope you're able to make it. The flyers are on the table and out the door.
Thank you, Kathy, for all the great articles. And there, Bob Linder, our voter registration person.
As most of you know, the election is March 3rd. As you know, the last day to have registered to receive the absentee ballot is February 3rd. So you have to register to receive absentee ballot by then. February 17th is the last day to register to receive, February 3rd to see a sample ballot, and February 17th register to receive an absentee ballot. And ballots will be sent out February 3rd to the 25th. If you didn't receive your ballot, come to me. I have this page here where you could go either to the internet or you could call up and find out if you're registered correctly. Also, the people who would decline to state, I realize some of the people have been calling them up. They've got sort of a negative response. People are very leery of these days because of all the phone calls they've been getting, fake phone calls. So it's hard to bring over a registration form to these people, unfortunately. So that's a problem. As regard to the people who are going to call up the various churches, I think I've called them all, and I haven't gotten feedback from some of you, so I hope you will call me back. We got to get people in the churches registered. And so if you want to get any of this information, please come to me. I also have registration forms. If you want to change your registration, do the change of address.
Thank you, Bob. I want to introduce Marlise Boyce. Will you come forward? And while she's doing that, I'll take this to a table. Who is the lady that has the petitions to put a recall on the ballot of Governor Newsom in November? Do you see this lady with her hand up? She has a paper, and I do too. And I will take mine to a table, and when people at the table, this is just to put it on the ballot. Then everyone will have a chance in California to vote yes or no. So if you want to pass that around and get it, okay. So here's Marlise Boyce, a citizen who has something very important to talk about for voting. Oh my gosh, I left this.
Good morning. I'm here to urge you to vote no on Measure M. You can see my shirt. As in money. M is in money. Saddleback Valley Unified School District's $495 million 30-year school bond that will be on the March 3rd ballot. With interest, it will be close to $1 billion. This is not free money. It will be paid back by increased commercial and residential property taxes. So I am a non-resident owner of a property behind Gate 10. So I have a vested interest in sharing this information with voters in this community. I understand many seniors live on a fixed income, and the slightest increase in prices can make it hard to pay the bills. Some people may think that Measure M won't affect them because they rent their home, but inevitably rents will increase when the landlord has to pay more in property taxes. Do you know that all Laguna Woods homeowners within the boundaries of Saddleback Valley Unified are already paying for the 2004 Saddleback Valley Unified School Bond? And that won't be paid off for another 9 years. Yet the district is asking us to open our wallets yet again, so we'll have 2 school bonds to pay for on our next property tax bill if Measure M is not defeated. Measure M is meant to be used for facility and capital improvements found on the facilities project list, not to add teachers or reduce class size. While I'm sure there is a need for certain projects to be completed, I believe they ought to be funded from the general operational account on a priority basis, so it does not double the cost to our community. Continually asking taxpayers to tax themselves for 30-plus years is irresponsible and financially fatiguing, not to mention unfair to those property owners voting against this measure. There are 2 school bonds for Capo Unified as well on the March ballot. Measure H is a $205 million school bond, and Measure I is a $519 million school bond. And I urge you to vote no on Measures H and I. If these bonds pass, property taxes will increase for property owners in Laguna Woods living within the boundaries of Capo Unified School District. Laguna Woods voters will know if they are in Saddleback or Capo by looking at their ballots, and the ballots will be mailed in early February. And as if Measure M, H, and I weren't asking for enough of your hard-earned money, there is a statewide school bond on the March ballot called Proposition 13. Now, don't be fooled by the name. This is not the original Prop 13 that was passed in the late 1970s. That reduced property taxes by about 57%, and that was wonderful, and we need to keep that in its entirety. But this school bond tax is asking for $15 billion of our money, and that doesn't even include interest. I urge you to vote no on this Proposition 13. Now, I'm sure you're all well aware of the 1.6 cost of living adjustment increase that was given to Social Security payments. However, the cost of Medicare B went up, so in the end, there really wasn't much of a gain in income. However, the school districts must believe you have all the money in the world to pay for these facility improvements. I see this more like not having respect for taxpayers. Do you know that the superintendent for Saddleback Valley Unified School District has an annual salary of around $282,000? The assistant superintendent of Human Resources and Fiscal Services is getting paid around $230,000 with salary and benefits. Now, all of this information is available to the public and can be found on the website transparentcalifornia.com. I really encourage you to look. You can see what every state employee makes at transparentcalifornia.com. Now, I brought flyers, bumper stickers, and yard signs that say no on Measure M, and there are some on each of your tables, and there are more in the back. Please take them to inform others in your community, because if it passes, it will all cost us dearly. I really believe these bonds can be defeated if thousands of Laguna Woods residents get out and vote no. So please spread the word. You have a lot of influence, so please spread the word. And this will send a clear message to those behind the bonds that we are tired of the tax abuse and reckless spending. And on the flyers, these are the flyers here, you'll find different ways to connect with us through Facebook, Instagram, and email. Please reach out with any questions, or if you're willing to help this grassroots effort. We really need the help. So again, I urge you to vote no on Measure M, as in money, H as in harmful, and I as in increase, and this new Proposition 13. Thank you.
Wonderful, important information. Now it's my pleasure to introduce one of our vice presidents, Phyllis Nielsen, who will introduce you to the candidates that are running not in our district. Why would we care? Because we hope you'll remember them, go home and call somebody in their district. So candidates, be sure you tell us which cities are voting for you. Will you come forward, Phyllis, and introduce our candidates that are not in our district before our lunch?
Well, that's very interesting. As far as the people that are running for Congress, we don't have anybody here that is not in our district. So I can't introduce them. But I will introduce the ones that are in our district, and I would like to have them all come up and sit here in the front. We have chairs set up. We have Greg Raths, Lisa Sparks, Don Sedgwick, Peggy Wong, Rhonda Furin, and Christopher Gonzalez. They're getting their picture taken right now. These people will each give a 2-minute talk telling about themselves, their history, what they've done, and tell us why we should vote for them. So, listen very carefully. If you have a pen and pencil, you might want to take notes. We'll go around and collect the questions on the cards that you have on your tables. So, with that, we're going to begin. Oh, we have somebody that's the timekeeper. Bob, right here. He has, well, would you show them the sign, please? And would you go sit out somewhere where they can look right at you?
Phyllis, they would like 3 minutes to each talk. Would you do that? Because you're
Well, in the letter that I sent to you, it said 2.
okay.
Yes.
We would ask for 3.
They'll be asked questions and they can talk some more then. So, 2 minutes. 2 minutes each. They'll have to talk fast. Okay, they can sit down. The first person will be Don Sedgwick. He can remain standing, and where's the mic? Oh, right here.
Well, it's so great to be with you all. It's great to be in a room where we all are friends and feel the same way about America, isn't it? We know that America is about the Constitution, the divinely inspired Constitution that we must protect. And that Constitution teaches us that the role of government is to keep Americans safe. It's not to be the provider of all things. It is to, and for that reason, we must secure our southern border because it's a safety issue. Drugs are coming across into our communities. We're exposing these poor children to human trafficking. We need to secure that southern border, and we need to end illegal immigration. And one of the reasons we must end illegal immigration is because it's illegal, right? We are a nation that operates under the rule of law. We can't just pick and choose the laws and government agencies that we want to support. That's why sanctuary cities are wrong, and we must eliminate those as well. We are one America. We know that we must obey the law. We must support our law enforcement. The Democrats have done a lot to dumb down the laws, to make crimes not crimes, to let people out of jail too early, and we must, as a government, protect our people. I'm the businessman in the race. I know the effects that these excess regulations and mandates cause us on as businessmen, the trials that it causes us. And I also know that businesses are what fuels our economy. And as the businessman in the race, I can stand up to Katie Porter and say, how can you tell all of us businessmen how to run our businesses when you've never even run the corner store? I'll be able to make that argument when she's probably never even run a lemonade stand, and if she has, I'd like to see if she's done all the permits that they would have required to those little 10-year-olds to do those stands. I am staunchly pro-life. I am a protector of religious freedom. I believe that this is a nation under God, and we need to instill in our youth the feeling of respect for deity and for God, and the tolerance needs to go the other way. We need to have tolerance for the beliefs of people of faith, not just for those that are not of faith. And in our schools, we need to promote and strengthen the role of parents as the primary educator of all of our children. My name is Don Sedgwick. I am your best bet to unseat Katie Porter, a socialist. The decision between your voters today will be freedom on one side and socialism on the other. Our community will choose freedom. Don Sedgwick for Congress.
Thank you, Don. The next person will be Rhonda Furin. Okay, Rhonda.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Furin. I actually am going to say a quote. Michael Steele once said, "One key opens every door. Also, one key will open the nation and to a child. That is education." Newt Gingrich was our House Speaker. His top priority was education, and that is my top priority. Okay, I was an educator for 26 years and a union rep in the state of Minnesota and California. I was lucky enough to meet Rebecca Fredericks last night and get her book autographed. Now, if you thought her book was bad, wait till you read mine when I come out and tell what is being done in the schools here in this state. It is that bad. We need to stop what's going on because this is our future. And I am fighting, going to Congress to fight because that one key will answer the door to everything that we stand for. Okay, that's it. I'm done.
Thank you, Rhonda. The next person is Peggy Wong.
Good guess, Rhonda. Hi, everyone. I'm Peggy Huang. Since I announced my candidacy, I've been attacked by the Democratic Congressional Committee 3 times and multiple attacks on Twitters by ActBlue. And why would they do that? Because they looked at my 30 years of experience and they discovered a couple of things that are important to people in this room, the retirees and soon-to-be retired individuals. Number one, back in 1996, I worked on the Welfare and Medicare Reform Act. Down to the wire, the last week, President Clinton and Speaker Newt Gingrich entered into a pact to save welfare and decouple the two and allow Medicare Reform Act to die. And that was an important time when we had control and we had the control of the agenda. We could have done something to save Medicare for all retirees and plan for the future, and that opportunity was lost. When I'm elected to Congress, I'm going to bring back that Reform Act again and may it do the right thing again. Then they went back, the Democrats went back and looked at what else I'd done. 2 more bills I tried on to do something for the elderly in this state. And that is RCFE and finding a way to bring back intermediate care for the elderly, those who are caught between in-home supported services and skilled nursing home, to bring down the cost of care when you need it most, when you come out of the hospital and you just need a little bit of help before you go back to your independence. Well, why did the Clinton administration kill that bill? I was in the same room with Division 9 of the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, and they laid out all the Medicare regulations, and they told me, you can't do that at the state level. Not what you want to do with the RCFE, what you want to do with IHSS, or what you want to do with the SNFs, the skilled nursing homes, because of all these regulations. When I'm elected to Congress, those regulations gotta go, because they're the reason why we don't have a true plan for care for our elderly and our soon-to-retire individuals. I'm Peggy Huang. Visit me at peggyforcongress.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Our next speaker will be Lisa Sparks.
Hello. Thank you. I am here to serve you and 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 you. I am here to serve your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, and you all as well, of course. My background is the Dean of the School of Communication at Chapman University. My research background is health communication and aging, where I'm ranked as a top 10 international, nationally ranked scholar in health communication. I know your problems better than anyone on this stage. If you want to look up some of my research, you can go online and look up my research, Lisa Sparks. And there's a porn star named Lisa Sparks, so make sure you put Dr. Lisa Sparks, by the way. My kids growing up in the Irvine school system said, if anyone can fix things, it's my mom. And they saw problems in the Irvine and Tustin school systems, and they were bringing those problems home. And as an educator, this really, really bothered me, because I think every kid should have a pathway to college. And so a couple years ago, I ran for the Orange County Board of Education, and I thank you all for your vote, because I'm in your district. So thank you all for supporting me in that. We've been fighting that battle every single month, every single week, fighting those battles with the California Healthy Youth Act, the sex education that is being inserted into the curriculum. There are a lot of problems, a lot of issues there, and I've been fighting for your children and grandchildren. And I will fight for you, for your healthcare needs. And my expertise in healthcare research will inform healthcare policy and education. Those are my two strongest areas. So the economy's really good, and of course everyone cares about the economy. And when the economy's great and we can get a hold of the taxes, what do people care about next? Healthcare and education, and that's what I bring to the table. And I want to do that for you, your grandchildren, and children. And I don't want them moving out of the state. Like my oldest child has already moved out of the state to Florida. And my next child is about to graduate college, and she's talking about moving out of the state. And my high schooler and middle schooler, I want my kids to stay here, like you want your kids and grandchildren to stay here. And I'm here to serve you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. The next person will be Christopher Gonzalez.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be here. On behalf of all of the candidates, I do want to say thank you for all your great work. If it wasn't for all of you and your energy and all your commitment, Republican candidates like us would never win. So a big thank you from my heart and from everybody. I wanted to share a little bit about me. My name is Christopher Gonzalez. I like to tell people I am a true conservative, traditional Christian Republican, and I'm proud of it. Yes, thank you. I'm also a proud Trump supporter. Is there any out here? Yeah, absolutely. And then also, one of my strong points is I love to say Katie Porter's gotta go. Who's with me on that? Yes, see you. Sayonara, right? And you got some great candidates here. 6 of us, I'd vote for any of us. Everybody's special. I like to think I'm a little extra special. I like to tell everybody I'm the combo package here, because we got Greg, who's the veteran, war hero. I was in the United States Army, military police, first lieutenant, loved it every single day. I was proud to be in the uniform. I'm also highly educated, like our 2 educators. And then I also am a small business owner. I have a law practice, been having it for 20 years. I know what it's like to have to, pay the rent, pay payroll, pay the taxes. I know how painful it is. And we've been doing a great job. I was recently found as one of the top attorneys in Irvine. Very proud of that. Distinguished attorney as well. And so if you have any needs, come see me. I'll be glad to help you. And then also, I'm like our good friend, an attorney as well, and just loved helping people. That's what we do. You come with a problem, we listen to it, and we solve your issues. Some of the things that I'd like to focus on that I have a little special training is Social Security. I got some great plans to end the taxes, make it better for everybody. My time's up. Wishing you a great day. God bless you. God bless President Trump.
And next we have Greg Raths.
Thank you. Excuse my voice. I've been campaigning so hard, I'm starting to lose it. Colonel Greg Raths, United States Marine Corps, retired. I'm in my 2nd term on City Council in the great city of Mission Viejo. The last 2 years I was on leadership. I was the mayor pro tem, a strict fiscal conservative. We had an $8 million surplus the last 2 years. What enabled our city to buy a golf course that they wanted to develop. It was a private golf course, and our city stepped in and bought it, and we kept it for our Costa del Sol members. So we did a great job there. Also very social conservative. A quick bio. Grew up in Arizona, went to Arizona State University, a degree in business, joined the Marine Corps. I wanted to be a fighter pilot like my father was a World War II pilot over in Europe. I flew right here out of El Toro Air Base, which brought me to Orange County. I've been a homeowner in residence for the last 42 years. Obviously, some of those years I was out of the country fighting our wars. 3 combat tours, Operation Desert Storm, Restore Hope, and Southern Watch. 75 combat missions in the F-18 Hornet. After I retired, and also when I was in the military, I spent 3 years at the White House serving the President of the United States as Chief of Staff of the White House Military Office, and also a year at the Pentagon, working with the Pentagon. So I understand Washington. I have Washington experience. And who's going to take care of seniors in Washington? A senior. I'm a senior. I'm on Social Security and Medicare. So I understand it, and I'll take care of it for you. The number one responsibility, though, of a congressman is to be your eyes and ears in Washington and your voice. Number one issue is national security. And as all these candidates have mentioned, number one issue is protect our borders. But here's something people don't talk about. 50% of the people that are here illegally are overstaying visas from countries from all over the world. So I want our State Department to work on that. I'm Greg Rass, running for United States Congress. I ask for your vote. We have 6 amazing candidates up here. It's going to be very, very hard. We're working so hard. It's really good for the party. But after March 3rd, we're all going to get behind whoever wins. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. All right, now we'll go to the questions. We're going to give each of them 2 minutes to say their answers. So Carolyn Minot will come up and ask the questions. No, just the one. Okay, it was just the ones that
Start eating your rolls.
Oh, here's one right here. Those are all good ones.
Now, do you want them all asked the question?
Well, we're going to ask 3 first and see how long it takes.
Okay.
All right, so just pick 3. You can do that. Oops.
And shall I just go on anyone? Does it?
Oh, no,
do they all
they'll
have-
raise their hand if they have an answer.
Is there any other race
Okay. Oh, thank you.
assembly? No. I think Diane Dixon's
Let's do those right here.
Kelly Earn.
Okay, these 3 you like? Okay.
Okay, we'll start with the questions. We've picked 3 out of all these questions. If we have time afterwards, we'll do some more. Carolyn will ask the questions, and they will raise their hand if they have an answer, and they can stand and tell you what they think.
All right, our first question is, what are the candidates' policies on illegal immigration and free college tuition for illegals? Anyone want to address that? Mr. Rath?
Well, I have the microphone, so I'll start real quick. Obviously, I think all 6 of us have the same answer. We are totally against illegal immigration. We are for legal immigration. As Don always says, what's wrong with illegal immigration? It's illegal. So I stole your line, Don. But like I said earlier, a lot of people here illegally that are overstaying their travel visas or their work visas. And those are the people the State Department needs to get after, and the Homeland Security. So I would work on make sure those people. Obviously, we don't want free education for people that are not citizens. And if you are citizens, I don't like free college. You work your butt off to go to college. And I always say, if you can't afford college, join the Marine Corps, and they'll pay for your college once you get out.
Thank you.
I'm married to an immigrant who's here legally.
right? He went through the process, and it took many years, right? He had the green card, he went through all the visas, and so forth. And my stepson also is an immigrant and with a green card, and it took him 10 years. So it took plenty of time. So there are some flaws with the system, but the system does work. So we can certainly improve the system, because it's the government, but it certainly does work. In terms of free college education, well, I'm a college professor, so no is the big answer to that. No, because we would not get paid. No, free college tuition is a terrible idea, and there are other ways around it. I think it's about educating people about the college debt that they're going to incur, because of course I'm a big believer in education, but it doesn't mean that it should be free. We need to educate people in terms of what they're getting into, right? And then, and college is not for everyone, by the way. There are a lot of trades out there, and not every person needs that college education, as we're seeing. So I will end there. Thank you.
You know, a lot of people say that the Republicans are not compassionate because we're against illegal immigration. And I refute that. And I think that it is not compassionate to support a system that exposes children to human trafficking and the drug trade, to support open borders and the environment in which we put these people who are trying to come to America is not compassionate. It is compassionate to put things above board and to treat people with respect. And we can be compassionate as we operate our country by the rule of law and do things the right way. I will tell you that, as a detail, how we can solve this problem is by not allowing something for them to come to. I speak fluent Spanish. I'm very involved with our Hispanic community, and I've spoken with many of them who have come here in search for jobs. If there were not, they all tell me the same thing. We didn't want to come here illegally. We came here because we heard there were jobs here, and you know what? There were. So what we need to do as a nation is we need to be very strong with the E-Verify system. Every single company should be required to report whether or not their employees are legal, and they should not be able to hire one who is not. There should be stiff penalties for any company who would employ someone who is not legal. If there were not the opportunity of employment here, they would not come. They heard that there's jobs here, so they came. But if there are not jobs here, because every employer knows that there's too stiff of a penalty to employ one, then they wouldn't come, border, wall, or not. But we must secure our southern border, and we must do everything that we can to keep our American families safe. But we must do these other things too, so that people don't fly in on a tourist visa and just stay here. There's other ways that people come in. It's not just running across the border. And as Americans, we can solve this problem if we just have the will to do so. And I tell you, even the Republicans or the Democrats haven't shown the will to solve this problem. As your congressman, that will be my first priority, is to solve this problem and keep Americans safe.
Thank you.
Who can better talk about immigration than an immigrant? I came to America when I was 7. My family came here legally. We waited 12 years. So that means they applied before I was even born. We have a broken system. It's a system based on quotas. There are a lot of people who want to come to America legally. If you're in the Philippines, you're waiting 32 years. If you're in India, you're waiting 28 years. And if you're anything south of the border, you're going to be dead before you can even have your application reviewed. We need to fix that system. But separately, when I worked with Senator Rubio on his Immigration Reform Act in 2010, one of the things that we found out is a lot of people who are here currently illegally, they are here, they just want to work, but they do want to go home. They're not planning to stay here, they're willing to pay the taxes, but they want the ability to go home. So one of the proposals that we came up with for the Immigration Reform Act was work visas, specific time-limited visas. And they're all in skilled areas where we need skilled workers. And that is something that President Trump is currently also supporting, the merit-based visas as well as skilled visas. They don't have pathways to legal or permanent citizenship or residency. It's just to bring skilled workers here, and then when their time expires, they go. And that's based on a lot of research that show why they are here. And we have to talk about those who want to come here. People like my parents who came here for freedom and liberty. We need to continue to have those opportunities for those who want to come here legally and have the ability to financially support themselves as well as support the rest of the nation. And we need to revamp the entire visa system and let go of the quotas. I also have a solution that's free market-based for student loan repayment that's based on a benefit that's negotiated between the employer and employees. It is basically very easy. Earn your bonus, pay for your loan with that bonus, and you don't pay income tax on that bonus that you earn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, build the wall. Build the wall. I'm also against DACA. I have been a teacher for 26 years in special ed and general ed. Now let me tell you, I was in every single setting, including private, public, homeschool, community day school, Sunday school, so I've seen it all. Now let me tell you about, we talked on bonds earlier. I am against bonds. There's an excellent website that you can go to investigate any and all bonds. It's called bigbadbonds.com. Let me tell you what I witnessed as a homeschool teacher in some school districts. There is a home with a garage, and in that home, just in the home, there will be 5 families living in one home. In the garage, there will be 4 families living in that garage. I had to go and teach these kids if they got suspended for bringing a gun or weapon, drugs to school. They sent me to this home. Also, if a child is pregnant, that child cannot go to school. I was sent to that home to teach that girl. Okay, so I have all expertise. Now let's look at the property taxes on a house in a school district that has 9 families with maybe 25 children. Is that school going to be able to substantiate those children on one house tax property? No, no. That's why bonds, whenever there is a bond that uses the word education, you say no. Okay? What was the other question?
That was it.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I can go on and on and on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Initially, I'd like to say, I love this young man's red shirt here. It says he's a proud Trump deplorable. So, yes, I need one of those. In response to the immigration issue, I do want to say I love President Trump's approach. What we need to do, we need immigration reform, and he's right on track. So we need 18 congressional seats to be flipped. So yes, we got to work throughout this nation to make sure Republicans take control of the House. So we're going to start right here in the 45th. One of us is going to lead that charge, and I hope it's me. There's a couple things in discussing this issue. One of the things that I found that the Democrats like to focus on is how the separation of children and families. They scream that's bloody murder, right? Yeah, and it's outrageous. So one of the things I like to do is find the resources for that. We can find funding so we can keep families together. And then I get upset with the Democrats because they make this, like I said, outrageous. But I go, well, how do you justify killing babies, the abortion industry and all that? How do you support that? Which in my mind is is abominable. It's the worst thing on earth. So yeah, that's right. And that's got to change. I'm 10,000% pro-life. I've got about a 30-year history of fighting on that. And just that means everything to me. So we're going to change this world. I love that the millennials are now becoming pro-life and making that. There's a couple, going back to the immigration issue, I kind of got sidetracked. I like to see some exceptions for people that join the Marine Corps, like Greg was saying, the United States Army. Those people are sacrificing their lives. They need to be citizens. So, and also like the merit base, like Peggy was saying, it's a great idea. If you got a special skill, say we got Albert Einstein coming in, we need to have that person as a citizen. If you're contributing to this great nation, you deserve to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and the second question I'm sorry?
Isn't it the third?
Yes, okay. Third question.
How do we prevent cheating with provisional ballots, etc.? Anyone having an idea?
I'll
Yes,
speak.
ma'am.
Well, I think that we need to use real ID.
We didn't ask.
Real ID and the real ID has to be in by October, correct? Okay, on the ballot, in order to have your ballot count, you put your real ID driver's license on the ballot. Okay, there we go, we got it solved. Okay, also, there was another question that I forgot that I didn't touch. Can I use that time from the last question? Okay, the one was about free college education. I'm totally against that. That is not acceptable. Okay, I came here as a teacher from Minnesota, fully credentialed. I came here and I had to become California credentialed. Not only that, they wanted me to get a special ed credential. I actually won an Apple award that said that you will get $11,000 towards your education if you become a special ed teacher, because they were short of teachers, and if you teach in a Title I school for 4 years. Well, I did that. I fulfilled what I needed to do. I actually worked as a special ed teacher for 13 years, not 4. Well, when I came out against the union, voicing my opinion, kind of like Rebecca did, they took back that award. I had to pay off that loan. The state said, oh no, you don't get that money anymore. You know, I don't know how they give you something and then take it away, but the state does it all the time. Okay, yeah, I can tell you all kinds of stories. Anyways, so yeah, I am against. I actually have spent over $200,000 on my education, which I have financed myself as a single woman. There we go.
Thank you.
Great question about provisional balloting, which allows you to register and vote on the same day. We need to stop this type of legislation. I'm looking to our state candidates to go back to where we actually have a cutoff date on registration and not same-day voting. There is no way to get around that cheating until we change that provision, number one. Number two is for all of us collectively to get together and really press the voters' registration to purge the roll, to regularly purge the roll. To give you an example, Judicial Watch filed a lawsuit last year, and nearly 2 million voters were purged in Los Angeles County alone. That was after the effect. If you were in Los Angeles and running as a Republican like Young Kim, that could have made a difference. So we need to get together and support all our candidates who are going to make sure that that same-day voting and registration goes back. Otherwise, there's so many loopholes that they can get around that even with Rhonda's great idea on Real ID, you cannot stop that cheating because certification may occur way before we find that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. You guys are at the heart of the ballot harvesting. The precincts around University of California, Irvine and Laguna Woods were the hardest hit a couple of years ago. And so you guys can report any suspicious activity. If people knocking on your doors, asking for your ballots, don't give your ballots to a stranger, right? And tell all your friends and neighbors. So that's something that I think is really important. And all of us are really, watching it very carefully because we were kind of hoodwinked last time. A lot of the pastors in our communities are really engaging in ways that they weren't before, and that's helping a lot of constituents who don't know, who may need some help with their ballot. You can help your friends, show them how you're voting, and so these are some ways that we can kind of address and make sure you're reporting that suspicious activity to the Registrar of Voters, the Orange County Registrar of Voters. Just a phone call away or go on the website and make sure that you're reporting any suspicious activity. We all need to be vigilant in this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you know that in 1998, we used to be a positive voter ID state, but both parties, Republicans and Democrats, changed it, and now it's biting us Republicans in the rear end. So it's very hard to change it back now with all the Democrats in charge. Last election, 2018, 250,000 ballots were dropped off at the office of the registrar on election night. That was harvested throughout Orange County. That is unacceptable. I believe with the primary, it's going to be pretty good. But the general election, which whoever of us wins, we're going to have to work very hard to harvest ballots ourselves. And what ballot harvesting is where people go to your door and say, give me your ballot and I'll turn it in. What we do think is there's some shenanigans going on with the Democratic Party. I personally believe a lot of those ballots that were Republican ballots were just kind of not turned in. Because Mimi Walters was ahead by 10,000 votes on election night, and she lost by 10,000 votes. And I've never seen that before. If you're up 55 to 45, no matter how many of the votes, it'll stay pretty close, 55-45. But she was up 55-45 and then loses just the opposite. So the general election is going to be very important. But again, it was our party and the Democrat Party that messed this up in 1998, and we got to work to ensure that doesn't happen again. Can I ask you a question here in Laguna Woods? Are you allowed to put yard signs up in your yards? No? Are we allowed to go door to door and ask for your votes? That's allowed, as long as we get somebody to get us through the gate. That's okay. All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Okay, you want to go with this one? Next?
Yeah, we got bushwhacked last time. That was terrible. You know, it was a big surprise. I was looking into this, and I found that this technique is used throughout the nation. And a lot of states have found that it's just unfair. It is unjust. So a lot of states are banning it. And so I think that, as you know, when we get to Congress, we should propose that it's banned throughout the nation. In the meantime, we need to support our state people that, you know, this is unfair. In other states, I think it's South Carolina, the Republicans are the ones that are benefiting from this. So it just depends where you're at. So we need to change that here. Now, I was talking to Sam Spencer of the National Republican Party. They're planning to really address this, to go hard and fix this. So I will work with him as close as I can to make sure this doesn't happen again. Thank you.
So all the wonderful ideas that we've all shared today are well and good, but we will have wasted a day of conversation unless we steal this seat back. Unless we can take this seat back, it's just a bunch of ideas. And let me tell you something, there's two things that you need to be able to keep up with Katie Porter and to beat Katie Porter. She was the top fundraising freshman Democrat in the country this last year. All of that money came from outside our district. $85,000 of that last week came from AOC. Last summer, AOC raised almost $1 million for Katie Porter of our district. She is the co-chair of Elizabeth Warren's campaign. She named her first daughter after Elizabeth Warren. She is a protege, self-described, of Elizabeth Warren. Unless we can beat her, we are not doing ourselves any good. I can tell you that I am the candidate who can beat Katie Porter. We must have the funding to compete with her millions of dollars, and I have raised almost $1 million for this primary. That is almost twice the amount of any of my Republican counterparts. But it's not just money that's going to win this race. It's also the grassroots network like we have never seen before. We can't just sit back and complain about voter harvesting, folks. We have an election in 9 months. Yes, they basically legalized voter fraud. We know that. But we've got an election this year, and the law is not going to change. So we have to beat them at their own game. And we can do that if we have the grassroots, and we will. Katie Porter will have college kids on skateboards running around doing door knockers, but we will have neighbors. We will have people that will knock on doors and saying, hi, I know him. He's a friend of mine. You can count on him. And I'm your neighbor. You can count on me. Many of you already know the answer to Greg's question about whether you can have door knocking here in Laguna Woods, because 3 of you have already come up to me today and say, your door's been knocked twice by my supporters here in Laguna Woods. I can organize that. I've got 450 people signed up to work on this campaign. And we have to have that grassroots network and the funding both to beat Katie Porter. And I can tell you, we will do that, and we will flip this seat, and Orange County will become red again, and I have a plan to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are we done, or something?
I said thank you.
Do we have more questions? Okay.
Okay. The next question. How would you help President Trump drain the swamp? In parentheses, they put actual proposals and suggestions.
Okay. Well, if you go to my website, you'll see that I have a commercial that says I have his back. I have President Trump's back. One thing that we need to do is do something with these unions. The union right now is so powerful that they are using other people's money to destroy everything that we stand for. Okay, I said earlier that education is the one key, and it is. It is the key to socialism. It's the key to pro-life. It is the key to everything that we stand for. Where is our American dream going? It is being controlled by the teachers' union. I'm sorry to say, I know it because I was there. Okay, we need to take control of our kids, our grandchildren, our educational system, because it's ours. It's not theirs. It's not the teachers' union using other people's money.
Thank you.
I worked at the National Institutes of Health as I was awarded the very first cancer communication research scientist position there. And the fat that I saw, the waste that I saw within the National Institutes of Health in Washington, D.C. was pretty unbelievable. So it just told me how much fat there is in all the other departments, like Department of Education is another one. And so really trimming down all those government workers. And then what I see at the Orange County Board of Education, where we're in big battles all the time, I asked them, because they sent a lobbyist up to, they were wasting taxpayer dollars, your taxpayer dollars, on a lobbyist, to sending someone to Washington, D.C. and to Sacramento. We as the board took away that funding, and they went crazy. They're still going crazy about it, because we thought it was extra fat that the taxpayers shouldn't have to be paying. And I asked the Orange County Department of Education, how many employees do you have at the OCDE? 1,400. Just here in Orange County. I said, and you have 1,400 employees, and you can't send one of your employees up to Sacramento to talk about whatever you want to talk about and bring back information? You can't send someone on a plane trip to D.C. You have to pay an extra person out of our taxpayer dollars, and you have 1,400 employees. So there's a lot of fat to be trimmed in the various swamp departments of education, National Institutes of Health, and GSA, and every building in Washington, D.C. I've seen it. I've lived there. I would know how to start trimming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't even need a Department of Education. We could cut that right out. Education should be done at the local level. We need local control. The way we could answer that question of draining the swamp is we need to run Washington the way we run our own businesses, those of us who have to make ends meet and meet payroll every couple of weeks. I've done it at the local level, and I can do it in Washington. I've got 23 years of local elected office experience in this district. That's more than the rest of the candidates put together, Republican and Democrat. Katie Porter hadn't even been the dog catcher before she became Congresswoman. But I'll tell you what, in the city of Laguna Hills, where I've twice served as mayor, we subcontract almost everything out to the private sector. We don't do everything with 1,000 employees like Lisa was talking about. We subcontract out building inspections and tree trimming, and we get better pricing and better service because the private sector has to compete for those jobs every year. And you know how much debt we're going to have in the city of Laguna Hills in 3 years? 0. We're going to be one of the only cities in the state of California that is completely debt-free. And I joined the Fire Authority 6 years ago, too, the board of directors, and you've all read in the register about the unfunded pension liabilities that they have across Orange County. And we inherited that in the Fire Authority. We developed a snowball plan where we started to pay that off early, kind of like paying off your home early. And you know, in the last 6 years, we have saved you $24.9 million in money that had been spent on interest, that would have been spent on interest had we not done this plan to pay down our debt. That's money that we're using to put the sensors in the hillsides to protect us from wildfires and new fire trucks. That's the way we need to run our state in Washington. We can't saddle our children and grandchildren with $1 trillion of debt and just think of it as a number. It's not just a number. It's sensors in the hillside. It's new fire trucks. It's things that we should be spending our money on, like Social Security and Medicare and things that matter to people. We need to start representing people and not special interests. I married a Navy captain's daughter right there in the back. Her dad was at the Naval Academy and played running back behind Roger Staubach. I'm reminded often of how we need to take care of our good veterans like Greg and so many that have served our country well. And serving our veterans and serving people that are real people who run businesses and who do the things that fuel our economy, that's where our focus needs to be, not on the swamp of special interests. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. I have 40 years of service as an Eagle Scout, 30 years in the Marine Corps, 6 years on City Council. I will take that service to Washington to continue to serve you. When they shut down El Toro Air Base and they shut down Tustin, what did they do? They abandoned the veterans in Orange County. The hospital is gone, the commissaries are gone, all the equipment is gone. We have to go to Long Beach as a veteran or down to San Diego. I want to bring a veterans hospital back to Orange County, and I want to bring a veteran cemetery to Irvine, where we were promised when we shut down El Toro, we would have 200 acres for delayest to rest. And we're down to like 60 now in some godforsaken part of that base. I will fight to get federal spending back to Orange County for a veteran cemetery and also for a veteran hospital. And to clear the swamp. I would learn what I learned at Mission Viejo. We have a budget surplus, and I'll do everything in my power so my 6 grandkids aren't strapped with this enormous amount of debt that they have. It's unsatisfactory. And when our embassy in Iraq was attacked a few weeks ago, who did President Trump send in? He sent in the Marines. It's time to send a Marine to Congress. Greg Grass for Congress. Thank you.
Thank you. No, go ahead.
Thank you very much. That concludes the
You don't want me to
congressional.
answer?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We still, the two of us haven't answered.
Forget what I said.
Well, when President Trump was talking about draining the swamp, one of the things he pointed to was the deep blue state in the federal government. These Democrats who are working in the bureaucracy, during Obama administration, he expanded the bureaucracy so much. These unelected officials running our government in contradiction to the president's agenda. We need to get rid of these, and where we can, let's take it out to the private industry, bid it out, hold them accountable as we would always hold our employees accountable in the private industries, rather than have lifelong service as civil servant where they can run rampant and be unelected officials running our government. Number 2, when I first became a city council member in the city of Yorba Linda 5 years ago, the first thing I did was to bring transparency to government. What I did was we bought a computer system where every dollar that goes into the city and every dollar that goes out, you go on the website in our city and you'll see where it's going. I propose doing that at the federal level, so where you can see every dollar that comes into the federal coffers, and you can follow it and where it goes. We also need to look at how we dole out grants. Right now, billions of dollars in federal grants are coming to local jurisdictions without accountabilities. We need to put in accountability in those proposals, that when you take money from the federal government, you need to show where it goes. And that goes true for both public and private entities. Lastly, we need to look at where we can finally get rid of some departments. There are a lot of departments, and I agree with Dawn. Department of Education has to go. It has to be at the local level, because I'm a parent. I have kids in public school. I don't like having the state or the federal government telling me how my kids should be educated. I'm the mom. I know how they should be educated, especially when it comes to sex education. I'm a Christian. I have my values, and my children grew up in Christian school when they were in elementary school. I don't want the public school system to wreck that, what we invested in. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Like Peggy, one of the things I'd like to see is an elimination of waste. One of the main ones that just screams at me is this $580 million we give to Planned Parenthood. That needs to stop. That needs to, and then we need to overturn Roe v. Wade. If you get my brochure, you'll see that my major point in my agenda is advancing the middle class. Because pretty much everybody I know is middle class, right? And I'd like us to see, our income's kind of fixed, and I'd like us to keep more of what we've got. We're not likely going to make a whole bunch more money. So I'd like to see less taxes and work on that to reduce that. But some of the other things, one of the things that President Trump's talked about is a middle class tax cut. Right? We had the first cut. Let's do the second cut. Let's make it better so we have a greater standard deduction, and then we can get an increase in the deduction for our mortgage payments. I think California got slammed in that because of Governor Brown and all the Sacramento Democrats that don't want to work with him. So that needs to change, right? Another thing, when I go talk to President Trump as a representative of Laguna Woods, I want to tell him we need to really reach out to Hispanics and other minorities. We need to, because I know the Hispanic community thinks just like all of us, right? They're very family, very traditional, very conservative, entrepreneurial, like to work hard, and I need to serve as a role model for them and for others, and especially for our millennials. I worry about them daily. We hear about that, 1 out of 5 is thinking of suicide. Like 1 out of 4 doesn't have a friend. What is going on? Why are they so depressed? Well, it's because they are losing hope. We need to bring hope. The Republican Party can bring hope by having strong candidates and supporting President Trump. Keep this economy going. That way they can get jobs. That way they can feel good about themselves, have an identity. So I like to go there and speak with Trump. I know he listens to people, and I know he'll listen to us. And thank you for listening to me.
Now we're done with this group. So they can go back to their seats. And now we're going to have another group. So get your pencils and papers going again. So will the following people please come up and sit in the front? These people are running for California Assembly. We have Kelly Earnby. Kelly's not here? There she is. Diane Dixon. Lori Davies. And Ed Sachs. It's for both, two of them, Kelly and Diane, are for the 74th district. Lori and Ed are for the 73rd. And Ed is not here, I guess. So we'll just hear from the three of them. All right, we'll begin with Kelly and timekeeper, the same times. Can I get a picture first? Oh, absolutely. Picture first. We can cut them out of the picture. 2 minutes, correct. Okay, Kelly.
All right, Laguna Woods, it's great to be back here and see all of you again. I am here asking you to look at California. I'm sick of the crime. I'm sick of the homelessness. I'm sick of watching Gavin Newsom give all of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars to the illegal immigrants. I'm sick of watching people like my own brother move to Texas because they can't afford to live here and be here in the state anymore. And you know what? I'm fed up, and so are you. And so that's why I'm running for state assembly, because the California law and what's happening in California is unacceptable, and we need change. And if we're going to get there, we need a fighter. We need somebody who's conservative, who's going to fight for us, who's going to be an advocate for us up in Sacramento. And so let me tell you a little bit about why I'm that fighter and why I'm the one that's going to win this. So I'm a prosecutor at the district attorney's office. I was top of my class in law school, editor-in-chief of the Law Review, and because of that, I was recruited to one of the biggest law firms in the world, Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, where I spent 10 years doing business litigation for big companies all across the country. And it was public service, though, that won my heart from a pro bono case that led me to the district attorney's office 8 years ago now, where I do environmental and consumer protection cases. I'm the prosecutor that fought the unlawful sale of fetal tissues, the aborted fetuses taken from Planned Parenthood that were being chopped up and sold all around the world from Orange County was my case, and I wiped them out of business. I've argued in the California Supreme Court for states' rights, and I won. I'm a winner, and I'm a fighter. I kept one of the heads of the Mexican mafia locked up behind bars when he was eligible for release. I win. If you guys want a fighter and an advocate again in Sacramento, someone who's got 3 degrees, I have a master's in public administration to top all that off, who's going to fight for you, who's going to be the fresh face you need, right? We need to rebuild our party if we're going to have a chance. So we need somebody fresh who's going to fight for us, who's going to be an advocate, and who's going to win. So if you're with me, if you want all those things and you want a winner, you're going to vote for Kelly Earnby for Assembly in the 74th Assembly District. Thank you, Laguna Woods.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right.
And now we have Diane Dixon.
All right, all of you have been so patient. Let me just ask all of you to raise your hand if you think we need change in Sacramento. Thank you. I'm Diane Dixon, running for Assembly District 74. All of you in Laguna Woods are important members of this district. Why do we need change in Sacramento? Well, let me tell you what we are up against. This is not just your average election where Republican candidates talk about a nomination in the primary and then both Republican candidates go on to the general. In our general election in November, we have a war to fight. I see some of you with your World War II battle hats on. This is war to reclaim democracy, frankly, in Sacramento, to reclaim a seat that a Democrat incumbent holds. The Republicans, after 30 years, lost the Republican seat in Assembly District 74. We must get it back, and it's not going to be easy. We need all of you to be working, as we've talked today, to be involved at the grassroots level, to tell your friends, to tell your neighbors. This is war to reclaim our state from the mega supermajority legislature that is passing laws faster than your mind can anybody can handle it, to change our local governments, to change our communities, to change our criminal justice laws, to make it easy for criminals to go off on the street. Their probations are reduced, their parole is reduced, and they're in and out of jails in 24 hours and they're gone. They could commit a crime up to $949 and they get a ticket. Literally get a ticket. We need to strengthen our criminal laws in California. No one is thinking about the victims, and we must remember the victims, the taxpayer, the people who are paying the bills. We are all forgotten in Sacramento. When there are so few Republicans, it is absolutely essential to bring them back. Why can I bring them back? I'm currently a Newport Beach Council person. I've been a member for 6 years on our city council. I've served mayor twice. I've been in the public policy arena, in the election arena, for 6 years. Prior to that, I served for 30 years in business. I was a senior officer for American Corporation, and I will bring my business, pro-people, pro-change, pro-returning our state to common sense, pragmatism, bringing Republicans back. I can win. I have the endorsement of every elected official virtually, and I've raised $350,000. This will be an expensive race. Talk about the unions. The unions will fund our Democratic opponent $3 million to 1. So thank you. I could win, and I appreciate your support. I'm Diane Dixon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. Next, we have Lori Davies, and Lori is running for the 73rd District, which is right next door to us. So if you have friends over there, you want to tell them whatever she says.
It's from San Clemente to Laguna Hills, Mission Viejo, Coto de Casa, Rancho Santa Margarita.
She just did.
First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Lori Davies, and I'm running for the 73rd Assembly District. I am a proud Laguna Niguel Republican when it federated. I am a pro-lifer, and I'm a 20-year small business owner. I started in 2012, where I was elected for Laguna Niguel City Council. I served as mayor twice, and I'm terming out the end of the year. I've fought very hard these last 8 years to make sure that we're protecting local control, especially up in Sacramento. Now, I know I'm talking to the choir here, but number one, we do have to save Prop 13 because they are coming after this. And this is the real Prop 13, the one that's going to take your property taxes on your home. And we won't be able to afford to live here anymore if that happens. Safety has always been a priority to me. I'm working hard with law enforcement to lower our crime rate. And that means making sure we repeal anything that allows felons early release. And let's talk about the homeless crisis right now. We need common sense measures that can fix this, because it can be fixed. But one of the main problems is, where is the money going to? We have to have strong oversight to see where this funding is actually going to, because it's not going to the right places, and I think we know that. Now, this seat is very important because it overlaps 3 of the congressional seats that we lost in 2018. Katie Porter's seat, Mike Levin's seat, and Harley Ruda's seat. We cannot afford to lose these seats. We need to get them back. Unfortunately, and I would never run against an incumbent, unfortunately, our incumbent, Bill Breaux, is being investigated for sexual harassment as well as misuse of over $200,000 in campaign funds. And that is why the Republican Party, your Republican Party of Orange County, voted for him not to run again and not to endorse. He also lost the endorsement of the Lincoln Club and the New Majority. And in turn, your Republican Party came up and endorsed me. The California Republican Party endorsed me. New Majority,
Yeah, this is good.
Lincoln Club, as well as the Atlas PAC. Also your leaders. I have the endorsement of Sheriff Don Barnes, retired Sheriff Sandra Hutchins, Mimi Walters, and Diane Harkey. So I ask Lori Davies, I would love your support. Stand with your leaders,
Not
stand
this
with your
one. We
party,
already-
and vote
we
for me.
already did
Thank you.
that one. Yeah. Lori? Lori, would you please repeat again the cities that
Absolutely.
you cover?
Certainly, we are the south of Orange County, so it's from San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Aliso Viejo, Laguna Niguel, Laguna Hills, Mission Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita, Coto de Casa, and Dove Canyon. So if you have any friends in there, please let them know. Support the party, support me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's fine. Just don't do this one because we already did it.
Should we talk about Assembly District 74? Does everyone know the cities? So it's Laguna Woods, Laguna Beach, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, Huntington Beach, and Irvine from up, most of Irvine up to the Great Park, if you're in any of those cities. Tell your friends.
Thanks, Diane. Okay, we'll start with the questions. So here we go.
Okay, some of the questions asked. How do we vote for Proposition 13? Anyone want to start with that?
Well, just to clarify, I think we could all say this, just as the woman who spoke earlier during the lunch, everybody be careful, all of us be careful, that what is on the ballot, on this ballot on Proposition 13 is not the same Proposition 13 that we all want to protect. So the proposition, does anybody know the number of the ballot number on the proposition that is the split roll? Well, anyway, vote no on a measure that will try to fool you and all of us by saying you're voting for education, for more funds for education. That is a phony title that is masking that it's really to promote the split roll. We do not want to split the tax roll and divide up residential and commercial properties. That will destroy business in California. So remember, vote no on vote no on both of them. I'd say that probably keeps it simple. Okay. So remember, the split roll will not have anything to do about what it's really going to do. It's really intended to fool a lot of people. So really, I wish I knew the number. So that's something we all need to remember, not to split the tax roll.
Thank you. You can give it to the next person. Did you want to address that? I'm sorry? Yes, if you would.
Well, I'm going to answer the question the exact same way, so vote no. But I'm going to use my 1 minute here, hopefully, to tell you a little bit more about why why we're having such a problem with affordability in the state of California and why businesses are leaving. And you got to just look at what the state is doing. They are enacting laws that are completely against business. AB 5 is the worst legislative failure of all time. So you probably saw that the governor and our legislature decided no company can have independent contractors anymore. That takes away the freedom of a lot of young people who are independent contractors, people who are writers and authors who work on their own flexible schedules. They can't do that anymore. Our individual contractors here in our state now are not even able to get work out of state. They won't hire somebody from California. It's devastating what is happening, and that is why we are going to see a big movement in 2020. So many people are impacted right now and losing their freedoms, and they are coming to the Republican Party. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew that we are having a movement in 2020. It's going to be a great year, and because of all of these great problems in California, we are seeing in my campaign a huge grassroots movement that is coming behind Kelly Earnby's campaign. I've got 50 volunteers out walking in the district. You're going to see some of them here in Laguna Woods. They're coming knocking on doors because it's time for the change that we need in growing back our party. And all of these failures in California are leading us there. So you should all have hope. And the next generation is here, and we are going to win big in 2020. So definitely vote against that Prop 13, because that would be bad. But you're really voting against all the tax problems that are up there and all the laws that are going against our government. And so make sure you support the candidate that's going to win and grow back the party and bring us forward and our voices back to Sacramento.
Thank you. Please.
They're exactly right. No on Prop 13. But I want to talk to you about the split road tax so you have a better idea of what it is, because you know how they like to take the language and change it to something else so you don't know what you're really voting for. The split road tax is they took the property tax on commercial property and then our home tax and they split it. And if they can get this passed, your property tax on your home will be next on the ballot in 2022. What this will do is it's going to take the property tax on a commercial property. Let's take your grocery store. Right now they're paying about 2% of property tax. They want to move it up to 8 to 10%. There's no way they're going to be able to afford that. And then the person that's leasing that or a small business is not going to be able to afford that. And it comes down to the consumer, which means we will lose all our own brick and mortar stores. They won't be able to afford to have that. So please, I'm working with the Association of California Cities, OC Tax, our builders and our realtors to get the message out so people understand, come November, we have to vote against this. Because if it does pass, once again, I'll guarantee you they're coming for you, and that'll be in 2022. So please, let people know split road tax is no on split road tax. And again, you're completely right. AB 5, I'm a small business owner. That affects me. That's affecting 3 million jobs right now in this state. You're going to lose those jobs. I now have to look at what type of business I want to do because I have to now support all of my independent contractors. So it's not good. We're working hard. California pretends it's a small business friendly community. It is not. So again, thank you so much, Lori Davies, 73rd Assembly.
Thank you. Okay. Due to our homeless situation and a lot of it being due to the opioid crisis, do you have an opinion on how you would begin to address this problem?
I certainly do, and as we talk, we need common sense measures. For the last 8 years, I've been working with parents that have lost their children to opioid overdoses. And let's talk about the homeless crisis. We never had one until the laws changed. You look at Prop 47 that came in 2014. That allowed early release of prisoners with AB 109. It also allowed felons to become misdemeanors, which pushed those that were in jails down onto this area. It used to be a point when you were arrested for doing drugs, you had to go before a judge and you got 30 days of rehab, which kept you off the street and it got you help. All of this is gone. These are laws. These crises have happened because of the laws that are made up in Sacramento. If you turn those back, it would change the problem. So let's look at, again, the funding, where this is going. I will tell you the money that is spent is not going where it's supposed to do. Look at where money from HUD is going to in our state. No one's accountable to saying how many beds have they, opened up? How many facilities have they opened up? Let's have this audited. Then let's take the homeless and put them into 3 different categories. Number 1, you take the alcohol and drug addicts. Once again, they need to get help. If they're caught doing drugs, they automatically go into rehab for 30 days and they're back, they're back getting help. Then you have your mentally ill. We have state hospitals, so we can put them back in there. They can get back on medication and they can get the help. These are people that can't help themselves. We need to give authority to judges to be able to put them in hospitals for at least 30 days, not 72 hours, and have them back. And then you have your homeless that are out there economically because of finances, loss of job. We have a lot of nonprofited groups that are doing that job right now. Our church-based facilities are doing that. So you have to break this into 3 parts. It can be done. It's the laws that are taking the law enforcement's hands. I can tell you, I live in a community where we had someone found in the bathroom, the HOA, doing drugs. 4th time they were picked up doing heroin in that week, the police said, but again, there's nothing they can do about it. We have to go back to the laws we had when we had strict laws, and we also have to stop these sober living homes for allowing people to bring them across state line, stay here, not get help, and then curb them and they become homeless. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Lori did an excellent summary. That is, it's hard to add more facts to that. That's absolutely right. What is it symbolic of is that Sacramento is destroying our communities by not protecting all of us and creating safe communities, change the laws, and AB 109, Prop 47, Prop 57, and it's only going to continue. They're changing the definition of recidivism. They're making it easier for people to not have a criminal record, and so they therefore, because of when they commit a third or fourth or multiple crimes, their prior record is not considered. We have multiple problems that affect our communities, affect our society, because of Sacramento has been pro-criminal, pro-felon. They've even changed the name of, they can't use the word felon in San Francisco. I think a person who has been exposed to the criminal justice system. Our state has changed. We need people who represent what communities want. Sacramento, in this past year as a council person, I have seen firsthand how Sacramento is passing laws, creating bills, and Newsom is signing them, and the current assemblywoman in this district, who I am running to defeat, has voted yes on all of these bills that are taking power away from your local government. City councils are having power. City councils are elected by all of you to represent you and your neighborhoods and your community. Sacramento is saying, no, cities, you're not in charge anymore. It's central planning, Soviet style in Sacramento. I kid you not. We must take control back and bring common sense, protect our families, pro-family, pro-life, pro what it takes to return our communities back. All of you have been voting for years in elections, and you've been wonderful Republicans. I am a lifelong Republican. This race is the most important election in many, many years, if not history. I started my political career with Ronald Reagan. If only he were here now to see what's happened in California. We must bring it back to where we want to have control to our own lives, not have crazy laws. California is the highest tax state in the country, and our education system rates 37. So thank you for listening to all of these problems, but we have to solve, and I will be there to solve these problems and be a part of the solution. So thank you.
Thank you.
The opioid epidemic is a major problem. So you know what I've been doing at the district attorney's office is prosecuting pill dealers who are out there selling prescription medications to kids on campuses. I've been doing that for years. And our office has a big prosecution going on against the manufacturers of opioids because they lied. They lied to the doctors and they didn't tell the people that they are addicted. So you all probably know somebody that got addicted, and it's a major problem, and there's a lot of work going on in my office. I'm here as a candidate, not speaking on behalf of the office, but I'm in the unit that deals with these problems, so I know them well. When it comes to the homelessness problem, that's caused by decades of bad policy from the liberal Democrats, right? And it's getting worse and worse and worse. So what we need to do is not be like the Democrats who just say, let's take more taxpayer money and we'll just throw it at that problem and hope it goes away, because it's not. What we need is a long-term solution, and we need somebody who's a problem solver who can deal with a complex problem and solve it. That's something that I do every day with the cases that I bring. And so what we need to do is look at the opioid and the addiction problem, and we need to make sure people are being treated, because that's how they're going to get off the streets. The sober living home is a problem because we thought maybe, hey, we've got these great sober living homes, they should treat people, but they're not. It's a medical condition, they need care. You've got veterans on the street, and they need to be protected, of course. I'm a child of the Navy and Marine veterans, in case I didn't mention that, so I'm a 100% supporter of our veterans. And we've got all sorts of different type of people. Millennials are living on the street because they think it's fun. So how are we going to get them solved? We have to look at each different part of the problem, but the biggest problem that I see is the mentally ill. And we don't have a state hospital system that treats them. The Orange County Jail is where our mentally ill are going, or they're on your streets, and they're committing crimes, and they're hurting people. And so the long-term solution has to offer a different solution to keep those people off the streets, not just throwing money and building what I'm calling dormitories in every city. Our cities are struggling because they're trying to each control and build homes. And I tell you, if you just throw money and build a bunch of homes for all these homeless people, next year you're going to need double that budget, and then the next year it's going to be triple, and that's not the right answer. And so we need long-term solutions and someone who can deal with those complex problems. That's what I'm going to do and what I will bring to Sacramento for you. Let's solve the problem for good.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. That was all very elucidating. Now, would you accept donations from a California business owner or owners who encourage illegal aliens and migrants in order to take advantage of low-wage workers? Anyone have a thought on that? Yeah. Would you accept donations from California business owners who encourage illegal migrants in order to take advantage of low-wage workers? Would you accept a campaign contribution from one of those, from a person who does that?
Well, first of all, if there are illegals working, we have federal laws that discipline and fine employers for hiring illegal immigrants in our country. That's federal law. Would I accept a contribution? I don't know how I would know it, but I would hope not. If I found out after the fact, I would return it. But the most important thing is on immigration. Now, the state doesn't control, the state legislature does not control our borders, but we can. I am staunchly opposed, our city of Newport Beach opposed creating a sanctuary city where cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, thank you, have allowed illegal immigrants to be protected from the criminal justice system. I mean, if any of us were to befall a crime, we are toast because we're not illegal in the state of California. If you have more rights as an illegal immigrant than as you do as a citizen, and I intend to change that. The conversation in Sacramento must change. The problem is that the Republican voice has been silent because there have been so few Republicans elected. We all know what happened in 2018. This is why, as I mentioned earlier when I spoke, this election is so critical that Republicans get out to vote and vote Republican. We must return Republican sanity to Sacramento because our communities, our lives, our family, our tax, our incomes are all affected. And as we're saying up here, people are leaving California, and it is not the state that we know it can be. Make California great again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, hiring illegal immigrants is called in my world the underground economy. And we prosecute those businesses that do that. So I highly doubt a business is going to come give some contributions to the district attorney who prosecutes them or the deputy district attorney. So I doubt that would happen, but I'm with Diane. I don't know how we would actually know that. But I want to tell you a little bit about immigration. I'm against sanctuary cities. We absolutely need to make our federal government control the border, and so that we stop allowing the illegal immigrants to have more rights than our law-abiding citizens. But I'm not anti-immigration. My husband is here today in the back, Axel. He's Swedish. He's a Swedish immigrant. And you know, I know a lot about the immigration system because I've been through it with him. And we have a system. He has his green card. We paid the money. We went through the process. And so there is a process, and we need to make sure everybody follows it. And more of the good news I wanted to bring to you is, you know, that I've been working really hard to outreach to the legal immigrant population in Costa Mesa, for example. There's Hispanic and Latinos that are there. They're legal immigrants here, and they're being hurt the worst by what's happening in California because they are small business owners, and they are fed up, and they're becoming Republicans, and they're joining our party and our fight. And that's good news for us, right? We've got the same thing happening with the Asian population in Irvine. The legal immigrants that are here, we are reaching them. And so that's more positive news from my campaign, Kelly Earnby for Assembly. But on immigration, I'm going to be tough on immigration. We're going to protect our borders, and we're going to make sure there is a pathway for immigrants like my husband, Axel, in the future. So vote for me.
Thank you.
First of all, no, I wouldn't take any donation, and then second off, I report them right over to her. I can tell you that I spent the day down on the border, and I can tell you that wall is working. Whoever says it isn't, it's working. It's amazing, the great job, and I'm so happy to see that they're moving forward with that. And as we're talking about illegal immigration, you're exactly right. Those that are legal are fed up with those coming across and trying to take their jobs. I have a neighbor that's been next to me for 20-some years, and he was always a Democrat, Hispanic gentleman with his family. And I sat down with him on the 4th of July, invited him over to watch the fireworks, and he talked to me about how he's so upset about them coming across the border and not following what he had to do to take his family to save money to pay for. And at the end of the night, when the fireworks happened, he turned around and said, "I'm voting for Trump." So I now have a born-again Democrat Republican on the 4th of July. But again, no, I would not take a donation, and I would report them. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to finish? Did you want to? Huh? Is that it? We did 3. Do you want to do more? Okay. Thank you, ladies, very much for being with us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, who wants to take it next?
Thank you very much for each candidate that has come today. I wish you could each win. You are so outstanding, and we appreciate the time and effort you are making to run. Yes. Here.
I'm Joyce Van Schack from Laguna Niguel. I was in a meeting this morning, and Pat Bates and several other people were there, and we were told that our central committee has no money for people in the primary or for registration, so they're asking us to get out and really do the work, and then they will come in to California and help after the primary.
Thank you. I received this in the mail, and I want to be sure that you understand so you can communicate with others and help them to understand the big changes in the voting. There will be vote centers all over Orange County, and where this postcard says you have 7 days to vote, in Laguna Woods you have 4 days to vote. February 29th, March 1st, March 2nd, and March 3rd. Where do you vote in person? Who knows? Good. Clubhouse 7. From 7 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, 4 days. Other polling places have 7 days. It is really important, if you remember the election integrity speaker that came here that said, take your ballot, of which each person in Laguna Woods is going to receive an absentee ballot. Take your ballot and watch them put it in the ballot box. Take it physically. You have 4 days, 7 in the morning till 8 at night. If you can communicate that to your neighbors and your family, how important it is, rather than put it in a voting box somewhere in the city. And maybe the Newport City Hall, Laguna Woods City Hall is a spot. But take it to the polling place, please, and drop it in. Every voter in Laguna Woods that's registered will receive an absentee ballot. That is brand new. Melita Special has asked us to remind you that on Tuesday, February 11th, at Mission Viejo, there will be a special speaker for Act for America. So we wanted to pass that on. Also, in the back of the room are 3 folders, gates 5 and 6, and I think gate 4, are still open for volunteers to go and knock on the door and make sure that that Republican and 2 Republicans that live there will vote. We're doing that all over the city, and if the 12 people who are volunteering will stand, we want to thank you. Are you here? Our walking precinct voters, please stand. Our people, there they are. Please give them a hand. The personal contact is the secret. It's really, really important, and we appreciate you. So enjoy the rest of your lunch and your dessert, and we will come back with our, yes. What about earlier than going to Clubhouse 7? You mean before February 29th? Yes. I don't know about that. Does anybody know? Yes.
The council chambers at the Laguna Hills City Hall, which is right there on El Toro Road, will be open for the 2 weeks prior to the election day. For in-person voting.
So someone from Laguna Woods could take their ballot to Laguna Hills City Hall on El Toro.
For 2 weeks prior to the November 3rd, yeah.
Okay. Also, did you know that on the ballot, besides this Proposition 13, which is so important, there will be candidates for the Republican Central Committee? How many of you knew that? I called to find out, well, who are they? Oh, well, in your district, there are probably about 15. I think we vote for 6. You find that out at the last minute, but that will be on the ballot. So enjoy the rest of your lunch and dessert, and then we'll have our wonderful raffle. Thank you.